of Coral. Matt, I've known since 2009. He took me under his wing. He was a West Coast scout, for the Colts, and took me under his wing as when I was a scouting assistant. Love that family, love Matt, love those girls, and we're obviously really heartbroken for Coral's passing, about a week and a half ago. So I wanted to start off just by, acknowledging that and just letting Matt know that our thoughts and prayers are really with you, man. So day 3, obviously made 2 selections today. Starting with Dylan, someone we knew well from University of Tennessee. 20-year-old running back. Think he really complements our room nicely. Runs a really tough and physical style despite being a little bit undersized. He's a player who has A+ makeup and a player that we think has untapped potential in the passing game. And then, Shedeur, we talk oftentimes about quarterback being the most important position in the sport. We obviously spent a lot of time with Shedeur throughout the process. He's highly accurate, can play well from the pocket, very productive college career. And, we felt like it wasn't necessarily the plan going into the weekend to select 2 quarterbacks, but as we talk about, we do believe in best player available. We do believe in positional value, and we didn't necessarily expect him to be available in the in the 5th round. And so we love adding competition to every position room, and adding him to compete with the guys that are already in there. We felt like that was the appropriate thing to do. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, Andrew, this is first for you. Can you just, seems like sort of a blockbuster move for you guys to make at this point. And then also, when we saw your guys' reaction in the war room, it just didn't look necessarily exuberant. So I don't know what we were seeing, but maybe you can explain that. And then also, how did this happen?
Yeah. I think we're probably just tired from the weekend.
Well, when they show those clips, it's not timed up to exactly the right
when
time.
We're actually
so I
making
wouldn't.
a pick.
Don't read too much into that.
Can you just explain this? This is a pretty big deal after everything that happened with Shedeur, this epic free fall that he had. How did this happen, and what was the thinking behind it?
Yeah, I just said the biggest thing for us, we live by our board. We felt like he was a good, solid prospect at the most important position. We felt like it got to a point where he was probably mispriced, relative to the draft. Really the acquisition cost was pretty light, and it's a guy that we think can outproduce his draft slot. So I wouldn't say it's any more than that. Mary Kay, I think obviously Shedeur has kind of grown up in the spotlight. But our expectation is for him to come in here and work and compete. Nothing's been promised. Nothing will be given. I may hesitate to characterize it as a blockbuster. That's not necessarily how we thought of the transaction. But we are excited to work with him.
Jeff, are you?
Both of you, I heard what you just said about Shedeur, but isn't the circus going to come along with this pick, even if it's not intentional? It seems everything follows him.
I'll go on. Our guys understand, Jeff. When you're in the building, we're here to work. We don't pay much attention to what's on the outside. We know we've spent a lot of time with Shedeur. We know what he's about. He's coming in here to work, just like all of our other players.
For both of you, Kevin, AB, either one of you, what are the biggest maybe misconceptions about Shedeur's game in terms of the way he plays the quarterback position, traits, that sort of thing?
No, I can't, Chris. I can't really speak on what other people think. I can describe how we view him. We view him as a highly accurate pocket passer. He does a really good job of protecting the ball. He has enough of the physical characteristics, whether it's arm strength or mobility. Like all young players, there are things to improve. I think probably much has been said about the number of sacks he's taken. Some of that is environment, and some of that is improvement on his end for sure. But he has probably a little bit more of a, call it retro or classic style of play. Again, I can't speak to how others view him.
without divulging maybe too much of the conversations, when you did call him to tell him that you were picking him, just what was the message to him, and what was maybe his message to you guys? Because I'm sure, again, it was a disappointing slide from somebody who expected to get picked early first round.
I think our message to him, it's really to all this. It's like, look, got to come in and work, and you got to come in and compete. That's the message. Nothing's given. Given the nature of the weekend for him, relative to, let's say, external expectation versus what happened, we did tell him that it really doesn't matter where you picked; it's what you do from that point forward. Because that's the reality for all the guys that we selected this weekend. In terms of his reaction, I just say it was probably a mixture of gratitude, relief, and determination. That would probably be the best way to characterize it. But he's certainly ready to go.
Andrew, because you guys were, a big player in the quarterback market, so to speak, and you did take one in the third round. Why do you think he fell to the fifth round?
I can't speak to why the market priced him the way he did. We had our own internal valuation in terms of how we viewed the skill set, and the quality of the player. And once it got to a point where it felt like it was at, a pretty steep discount, we just felt like, hey, especially relative to the alternative ways that we could use the selection, this made the most sense.
And obviously he has an all-time great football player as a father and coach. So you could see the pros of that, Also, he's got, Deion's got a larger-than-life personality, a huge platform, and a lot of influence. So how do you view those, dynamics, father-son, and do you think that had anything to do with him being available in the fifth round?
Our personal relationship and interactions with Deion, that's really been all positive from our perspective, and I mean that organizationally, not just me and Kevin, but really all of us who have interacted with Deion and the people out in Colorado. We don't typically penalize prospects for their parents, so to speak. So I can't say if that was a factor or not for for other teams, but that was not a significant factor for us. Yeah.
You said it became where you could get Shedeur at a steep discount. So did the decision to trade for him and make that pick come together pretty quick?
It did.
At some point you go, okay, now's the time to make a move?
Yeah, I'll be honest. We typically go into day three with a number of names, because that's usually where the boards across the league, they kind of disperse. We did get an early run on some of the players that we were targeting, and as we thought, like the distance that our last two picks were apart, and the way we could just kind of maximize those resources between the position and how we graded the prospect, we felt like this was it. It's maybe a little bit like what I talked about at the top of the draft, that when people think of a singular pick, it's oftentimes, okay, well, like, who are you going to select? But there are just so many different ways that you can use that resource to improve your team, and so we just try and think of it broadly.
All right, well, that's the Browns draft. We'll have the Steelers draft recap for you coming up next hour. Well, as we look at that forecast today, pretty decent. Temperatures in the low 70s with mostly sunny skies. It's Tuesday that is sort of the concern for our region here in northwest Pennsylvania, with severe thunderstorms expected. And we're going to keep an eye out on that. But, again, Tuesday is sort of the day in the week that we really want to watch out for. The details, though, sunny today, 73. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows in the upper 50s. Tuesday, scattered strong storms, upper 70s. Wednesday, partly cloudy, mid-60s. Thursday, the 1st of May, afternoon thunderstorms, mid-70s. And Friday, rain with temperatures in the upper 60s. We're coming up on 7 o'clock. We'll have the latest headlines for you. Also let you know what's going on Wall Street in case you're just joining us here on this Monday morning. Amy's got birthdays and what we're celebrating. That's coming up. We're going to hear from Neil Fratus from the city of Titusville, along with Councilman Gavin Griffin in the 8 o'clock hour. Also later this morning, Cheri Porter from the OC&T Railroad. That'll be later in the 8 o'clock hour in case you missed that on Friday. So a lot to get to here on a Monday. Glad you're with us. Busy week ahead. And, of course, weather, the concern as we head into Tuesday. So we're going to be keeping an eye out on that. All right, 7 o'clock. This is the Morning Drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Great week coming up. Tomorrow, Joe Tech, Gary Glunt, financial guru, will be with us. Wednesday on the program, Krista Lundy, just coming off the Diamond Awards last week. Susan Williams from the Venango Chamber. Krista from the Meadville Chamber. We're also going to have Heather Schmader from ERA Richmond Real Estate. I love talking real estate. There's a lot of really cool things to factor into who's buying homes in our region, to what people are looking for, where they're coming from. A lot of great information. And looking forward to catching up with Heather on Wednesday. And then we'll be wrapping up the week with Mr. Sports, Bruce Peterson, get his take on the draft. And, of course, speaking of the draft, we'll have the Steelers side of things coming up next hour. 7 o'clock.
Multiple people were killed and a number of others injured in Vancouver after a vehicle was driven into a crowd at a Filipino street festival on Saturday evening. Police said they had arrested a 30-year-old local man at the scene and that he was known to them. Here's the city's interim police chief, Steve Rye.
That male was taken into custody at the scene by the crowd. It was a Filipino community event. The crowd immediately called police. We then took custody of the subject, and he is now in our custody being held.
Police later said they were confident it was not an act of terrorism. The incident happened shortly after 8 p.m. at the Lapu-Lapu Day block party, celebrating a Philippine national hero. One witness said he saw about 15 people lying on the ground after a dark SUV driven by a male plunged into the crowd.
I'm pretty choked up.
Vancouver City Councillor Pete Fry was visibly shaken as he spoke to CTV News.
I don't even know what to say. This was a great day, wonderful event, huge community event. And to have it end in tragedy like this, it won't break us or the community, but it's horrible.
The Vancouver Sun said thousands of people had been in the Sunset neighbourhood area. The incident comes as Canada's federal election takes place on Monday.
Late yesterday evening, I and all Canadians were shocked, devastated, and heartbroken. What we know at this time is that at the Lapu-Lapu Festival in Vancouver, an occasion to gather and to celebrate the vibrancy of the Filipino-Canadian community, 9 people were killed, and more than 20 were injured in what the Vancouver police are describing as a car ramming attack. I would like to commend the quick and compassionate actions of those at the scene and of our first responders. An investigation is ongoing to determine how and why this horrific attack occurred. Last night, families lost a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a son, or a daughter. Those families are living every family's nightmare. And to them and to the many others who were injured, to the Filipino-Canadian community, and to everyone in the broader Lower Mainland, Vancouver, I would like to offer my deepest condolences and my wishes for strength and compassion in this tragic time.
The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home has been serving the needs of Titusville and surrounding communities since 1965. Mr. Garrett believed in tradition and commitment to excellence, standards that have been passed down from one generation to now a new generation, who will work to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. When you need them, they will be there for you. This has been their foundation for almost 60 years. The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home, 303 North Washington Street in Titusville.
Anyone with a kind and generous heart and a little money can be a philanthropist. You too can be a force for good in our community, and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Ray and Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Lovin'. Puppy Lovin' is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night's stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
Presidents, royalty, and a multitude of mourners bade farewell to Pope Francis at his funeral on Saturday. Applause rang out as the coffin, inlaid with a large cross, was brought out of St. Peter's Basilica and into the sun-drenched square by 14 white-gloved pallbearers. Bells tolled as leaders from more than 150 countries took their places. Dignitaries included US President Donald Trump, who clashed with Francis a number of times over their starkly contrasting positions on immigration. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was also in attendance. Applause rang out in the square on his arrival.
La guerra
Italian Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, who presided over the funeral mass, said the pontiff's legacy of caring for migrants, the downtrodden and the environment must not die with him. Choirs sang Latin hymns and prayers were recited in several languages, reflecting the global reach of the 1.4 billion member Roman Catholic Church. Aerial views of the Vatican showed a patchwork of colours: black from the dark attire of the world's leaders, red from the vestments of some 250 cardinals, purple worn by some of the 400 bishops, and the white worn by 4,000 attending priests. The faithful hurried to the Vatican from the early hours, many camping to try and secure spots at the front of the crowd for the ceremony.
We want to say the bye-bye because he's the living saint, very humble and simple, and he liked it, united all the peace of country.
The Vatican estimated some 200,000 people had gathered at the start of the service. The Argentine Pope died on Monday, aged 88, following a stroke. Francis's death ushers in a meticulously planned period of transition, marked by ancient ritual, pomp and mourning. Over the past 3 days, around 250,000 people filed past his body, which was laid out in an open coffin before the altar of the vast 16th century St. Peter's Basilica. He will be the first pope to be buried outside the Vatican in more than a century, preferring Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major rather than St. Peter's as his final resting place.
Wall Street capped a 4-day rally on Friday with the Dow edging up marginally, the S&P 500 adding 0.75% and the Nasdaq climbing 1.25%. China exempted some U.S. imports from its 125% tariffs, but denied U.S. President Donald Trump's assertion that trade negotiations between the world's two largest economies were taking place. Clark Garanin, chief market strategist and chief operating officer at CalBay Investments, said he's not buying stocks until there is more clarity on Trump's tariff policy.
From our perspective, we can't trade on tone. We're investors, not traders, so we really need to be looking for some solid, hard data to actually support a rally moving forward. Thankfully, we did get some hard data this week on production, manufacturing, and new home sales, which beat expectations. And thankfully, we're actually seeing the disparity between the hard data and the soft data start to move in the same direction as we saw a consumer sentiment number this morning that improved. So we are looking to see some more hard data coming out to support a rally.
With first quarter earnings season in full swing, nearly 3/4 of S&P 500 companies have beaten expectations, according to LSEG. But investors are largely looking past results and parsing forward guidance, especially lowered or pulled projections due to economic uncertainties and dampening consumer spending. Among Friday's movers, Intel slipped more than 6.5% after providing weak revenue and profit forecasts. Alphabet shares advanced nearly 2% after the Google parent posted a 28% jump in Google Cloud revenue and assured investors that its AI investments are paying off. And shares of Charter Communications jumped nearly 11.5% after the broadband and cable company beat revenue estimates and added more mobile subscribers than expected.
From Trump's first 100 days to quarterly results from much of the Magnificent Seven, these are the stories to watch in business and finance in the coming week. U.S. President Donald Trump marks 100 days in office on April 30th. From his on-off tariffs to how he's handled the war in Ukraine and relations with allies, many of Trump's challenges are of his own making. With old alliances on shaky ground, market sentiment fragile, and uncertainty rife, investors are keen for a bit more visibility into Trump's next 100 days. Quarterly results from Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta platforms are due. After 2 years of massive gains, these stocks and the rest of the Magnificent Seven are off to a rough start in 2025. Inflation figures on May 1st and April employment data on May 2nd could offer some insight into how the economy is doing. Tensions between the U.S. and China seem to be thawing somewhat after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated the U.S. was willing to de-escalate. It also doesn't seem as if Bessent will be aggressively pressuring Tokyo for a stronger yen. That would be welcome news to the Bank of Japan, which meets on May 1st. Only a week earlier, Trump accused Japan of weakening the yen to help exporters. Canadians head to the polls on Monday. Prime Minister Mark Carney believes Trump's tariffs and talks of annexation poses a huge threat. So the answer is to reduce reliance on the U.S. and restructure the economy. Voters appear to agree, according to recent polls, and markets anticipate this outcome. But the road ahead is bumpy. The IMF has slashed Canadian growth forecasts, and Liberal plans to ramp up spending suggest a higher than anticipated budget deficit.
All right, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania. Sunshine today with temperatures in the low 70s. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with lows in the upper 50s. Tuesday, scattered strong storms, damaging winds, large hail, and possibly a tornado with some storms. That's the kind of those are the conditions that we're going to be experiencing tomorrow. Tomorrow's high in the upper 70s. Wednesday, partly cloudy with temperatures in the mid-60s. Thursday, the 1st of May, some afternoon thunderstorms, temperatures in the mid-70s. And Friday, rain with a high in the upper 60s. That is a look at your weather forecast at 7:15.
Western Bay, and it serves 100 ships a day, lonely sailors.
All right, welcome into a Monday. Glad you're with us here this morning. I hope you had a great weekend. This weekend already sounds like it's going to be busy. And when I say that weather-wise, tomorrow is what we're looking at. You're looking at the forecast starting like Friday, Saturday, and they're like, hey, Tuesday could be an interesting day. And then they start, it's not funny, but when they start putting levels with the weather, like this is level 3.
Yeah.
You go, okay. So you're looking, level 3 out of 5? So.
We're like a 2, right?
Well, it's been back and forth. Now it looks like it's back to a 3.
Oh.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That's when I'll really soak it in, is when we're there. But, giving everybody a heads up on how the weather is going to behave tomorrow. I have no problem with that. But
Mother Nature is not predictable.
Yeah, not at all. We're going to do birthdays and what we're celebrating here in just a couple minutes. Let's see. We're coming into May. May 1st will be what, Thursday? Is it prom, like in this area, this Friday?
Yep,
or is
this
it?
Friday.
No way.
Yeah.
And when's Mother's Day? I mean, I realize it won't matter till the day of, before I, plan ahead.
Okay, so Mother's Day is a week from Saturday.
A
This
week
coming Saturday.
from Saturday.
Yeah, or Sunday. Sunday.
See, you're
I
throwing me
don't
off.
even know.
Right.
Sorry.
So it's a week from this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What?
No, it's just time's flying. Hopefully, it's going to be a great day today. 73. We're going to be out tonight covering some softball. Looking forward to that. Titusville, Meadville, always a fun match.
Yeah.
To watch those two to battle it out. We are hoping to do track tomorrow, but I don't know what's going to happen. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. And then Thursday, the 1st of May, looking at some thunderstorms as well. And then, it's like, hey, we're getting some great warm temperatures during the week, and then the weekend sort of crashes. It looks like the same thing this weekend. 53 on Saturday.
Oh, man.
With some morning showers. So I know. We're waiting for that really nice weekend, aren't we?
We are.
You were out a little bit. Did you sit on the porch yesterday a little bit?
It got cold. It sounds really dumb. I worked in the yard, and it was all right when, I was in the yard. But then, I took a minute to recharge the batteries of the weed eater.
Yeah.
So I sat on the porch, and I was like, oh, wow, when you're not moving, it's kind of chilly. That was it. That's the only time I sat on the porch.
Okay. NFL draft over the weekend. What?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. You're giving me a weird look.
Do I have to switch seats?
I was going to
Do you
get
want
over
me to
there.
switch seats?
Maybe for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I just actually paid
Yeah,
attention
no, I haven't
this
gotten
morning.
that far yet. It's it's Monday. We can ease into
Having such a Monday
it
myself.
is- yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow.
I hope that the rest of the week doesn't go this
Mirror
way,
this
but
morning?
it's all right. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's better. Yeah, no, it's all on me.
Well, no, I wasn't paying attention. Shocking, I know.
No,
Is that okay?
it is. It's just kind of weird seeing you in that seat.
It feels weird.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into birthdays, what we're celebrating today. I don't even know. Today's the 28th.
It is.
20,
You ready?
Yeah, 28th day of April.
Okay, Jay Leno is 75.
Oh, wow. It's funny. I was just watching some interviews with him.
Mm-hmm. And?
There's a lot.
Okay.
It's strange because he comes across such a nice guy. But then you start reading the comments and how, people just making comments, about, especially with the whole Conan thing. So I don't know where to fall on that. I don't think it was 100% Jay Leno's fault. I don't know. He just seems like a nice guy. But anyways, happy birthday, Jay Leno.
All right, actress Mary McDonnell is 73. Actress Penelope Cruz is 51. Actress Jessica Alba is 44. And that is all.
All right. Happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to you if today happens to be your birthday from all of us. Now, what are we celebrating here today?
I don't know. It is Biological Clock Day. Clean Comedian Day. Global Pay It Forward Day. Great Poetry Reading Day. Kiss Your Mate Day. National Blueberry Pie Day. National Brave Hearts Day. National Cubicle Day. National Superhero Day. Occupational Safety and Health Day. Workers Memorial Day. Work Day for Safety and Health at Work. National Auctioneers Week. And National Youth Violence Prevention Week. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. So find something there to celebrate, right?
Are we going to at all touch upon our 3 hours of misery this weekend?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
I feel like we need to have a PSA moment.
So we did something that was really exciting on Saturday. Now, luckily, Saturday was kind of yucky day, right?
Yeah.
So that was probably the saving grace
Mhm.
for us in terms of just our patience. But yeah go ahead.
So, we're like no minute like the you are more that no minute like the last, but we need real IDs. Like we didn't get our real
Right,
IDs.
the deadline's coming up. What, May 7th?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that if you don't get it by May 7th, you're never going to get it. If
I
you
know
plan
that.
to travel or enter a federal building
Right.
between now and whatever, you have to give yourself time to get yourself a real ID, period. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I don't have a real ID. If you don't plan to fly or do anything, that's fine.
Right. It was a
You're
deadline for
okay.
us because we have like a little trip in May.
Yes, and our kids are flying somewhere for school, so they
Yes.
need real IDs.
Yeah. So for us, we really had to get it now.
Yes.
But
So-
you can get it any time.
So I pulled the list. There is a list out there of the things that you need, which is a photo ID, birth certificate, social security card, and proof of residence. If you are a woman, you need to have, if you were married, you have to have your real marriage certificate. And everything that you have, marriage certificate, birth certificate, have to have the raised seal. They can't be, copies or whatever they used to be in the 70s. So
So you may not have one that has the raised seal, which means you do what?
You call like the go online to the Vital Statistics webpage, and you can order one. It's like $30 is the cost of that. If you don't have a Social Security card, you need to go on and you need to order it. There's certain pieces of information you'll need. So make sure that you're doing it for yourself and not attempting to have somebody else do it for you. So we went about a month ago, and said, okay, this is what we have. What else, we need this, this, and this, and I had our marriage certificate, and I just wanted to make sure that was an okay. Nope, didn't have the raised seal. You're gonna have to order a new one. So that's your courthouse in the county that you got married in is where you have to get that, and that you can go in and pay for a copy, or you can fill out a form and get it. So anyways, we got all of that, and I think on Thursday we finally got some of our pieces of information in the mail that we had to order.
So, but it took about a month to get that stuff.
It took about a month, so you have to give yourself time.
So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to fly in June, I'll just wait till sometime in May. Unless you're pretty sure you have everything.
Right.
Okay.
Plus, so we were in Erie. Erie does Saturday on the spot and Monday on the spot, and that's it. If you go in on a different day, they're not going to give it to you there. I think you are going to give them your information, and they'll try to send you one.
Okay.
And that can take up.
Same with some AAA locations.
Correct.
But they'll send it out.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll wait a few weeks to get it back. So you really have to plan this appropriately.
Okay.
So we went in. We had our son had tennis in the morning, so we had to wait for him, go pick up our other child, and get there. And we got there at what time? 11:38, I think is what my ticket said.
I thought it was like 11:47. We may have gotten there at 11:30 something, but by
My
the time we
ticket-
got the
my
our
ticket
number.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, it doesn't matter. We waited in this mess of people for 3 hours.
3 hours at the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours. You know what's crazy? Not very many smiles. I noticed, I'm like, wow, everybody's just sort of.
And we were exhausted and we were grumpy, and I'm like, I'm gonna
grumpy. Well, not grumpy. Well, I think we were grumpy because we were there, and it was like, this is going to be a long, long time.
So I made it to the counter, and I try I'm like, hi, how you doing? And I get it.
Right.
I'm like, okay, sorry, I'm gonna just sit here and be quiet now. I asked a question about payment because I thought, well, if I could just pay for everybody at one time. Nope, these are 3 different transactions. They will all have to pay by themselves. I'm like, great, gotta rush through this, rush down here, pay for this one, rush down here and pay for this one. It's gonna be great. But yeah, we 3 hours, a lot of grumpy people. So you'll get there, and I will say they were very efficient on the front end. There were 4 employees.
Yes.
Next. And what are you doing? Okay, here, and they did a checklist, and they handed you to something to fill out, and you went and found a seat and you filled it out. And the people that were sitting there, the ones around us were very nice.
Also sounded like the employees were going to be getting overtime or have been getting overtime because they close at a certain time.
Yeah.
But they were they were joking, which is kind of funny to say because you couldn't tell they were, enjoying life working there. But it was like, I think we're going to get out of here like at 6. And the other guy's like, yeah, 6 a.m.
Well, and the day
I turned and looked, I'm like, that's kind of funny.
The day that we went like a month ago to verify our information, we walked up to the guy, and it's funny because it's the same guy I got checked in with this time.
Okay.
Anyways, walked up, and I said, I just need to make sure when we do this, blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, it's a 4-hour wait today. Well, on that day that we went, they were to close at 4, and it was like 3:30, and he's telling me it's a 4-hour wait. So they weren't going to be gone until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And maybe why they looked grumpy, but I don't know why those places have, because that's not the only place where you walk in and it's just like they suck out all the fun through the vents or something like that, or all the smiles.
So there's this movie, this kids movie, and I can't, Zootopia or something, But you go into like the DMV on Zootopia is run by sloths, so they're like,
Right.
And I feel like that's exactly how I felt. Just I know they were exhausted, and I feel horrible for them. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't be as mean.
I don't know. Maybe if they had like music playing in there, it wouldn't be such a. You could do a better job making the atmosphere more enjoyable for the people there, and maybe even for the people who work there.
I think also the problem, though, I'm gonna assume with music is, it's probably like you get Cliff down on the end. Well, I want to hear country, and Beth is like, I want to hear something else. Like you probably get that.
Memorized all their names already.
I don't know.
Well, we're there for 3 hours.
3 hours. They all became my best friends.
I'm looking around at like everybody in there, just observing. It was rare to see a smile.
There were people with like little
3
kids
hours.
there.
I know.
Little kids. I'm like, oh, those poor kids.
I know. I think I'm going to run for some, I don't know, representative, senator, just to make DMVs fun again. I don't think they were ever fun, but to make them fun. That's what I want. I want people to go in and be like, okay, this is a pleasant experience, not what we went through. Ugh.
But when we were walking out, there was a lady who stopped, and she had like 4 people with her, and she blocked the whole doorway to ask the poor security guard what a better day would be to get her real ID. And she's like, well, it's only Saturday or Monday, and there's typically this long of a wait.
Yeah.
And she started yelling at her.
So if you need your real ID, you better get it now.
And you better be patient.
If you're going on a trip. If you're not going on a trip for a while, wait.
Yeah, take your time.
All right. News is next, 7:30.
Multiple people were killed and a number of others injured in Vancouver after a vehicle was driven into a crowd at a Filipino street festival on Saturday evening. Police said they had arrested a 30-year-old local man at the scene and that he was known to them. Here's the city's interim police chief, Steve Rye.
That male was taken into custody at the scene by the crowd. It was a Filipino community event. The crowd immediately called police. We then took custody of the subject, and he is now in our custody being held.
Police later said they were confident it was not an act of terrorism. The incident happened shortly after 8 p.m. at the Lapu Lapu Day block party, celebrating a Philippine national hero. One witness said he saw about 15 people lying on the ground after a dark SUV driven by a male plunged into the crowd.
I'm pretty choked up.
Vancouver City Councillor Pete Fry was visibly shaken as he spoke to CTV News.
I don't even know what to say. This was a great day, wonderful event, huge community event. And to have it end in tragedy like this, it won't break us or the community, but it's horrible.
The Vancouver Sun said thousands of people had been in the Sunset neighbourhood area. The incident comes as Canada's federal election takes place on Monday.
Late yesterday evening, I and all Canadians were shocked, devastated, and heartbroken. What we know at this time is that at the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver, an occasion to gather and to celebrate the vibrancy of the Filipino-Canadian community, 9 people were killed, and more than 20 were injured in what the Vancouver police are describing as a car ramming attack. I would like to commend the quick and compassionate actions of those at the scene and of our first responders. An investigation is ongoing to determine how and why this horrific attack occurred. Last night, families lost a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a son, or a daughter. Those families are living every family's nightmare. And to them and to the many others who were injured, to the Filipino-Canadian community, and to everyone in the broader Lower Mainland, Vancouver, I would like to offer my deepest condolences and my wishes for strength and compassion in this tragic time.
Vehicle shopping? Make sure you check out Titusville Ford first. Shop our amazing selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. Visit us on Route 8 in Titusville and see why our customer service is a cut above the rest. Titusville Ford, your hometown dealer.
Winter rages on in northwest Pennsylvania, and luckily Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning is only a phone call away when your heating emergency strikes. Whether it's residential or light commercial, new construction, repair, or replacement, Vanderhoof has the experience to get the job done right. Call today to set up an appointment or visit the Vanderhoof website to learn more. At Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning, we look forward to fulfilling all of your HVAC needs and projects now and into the future. Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning in Titusville.
Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding is located at 305 East Spring Street in Titusville. Marsh Home Center welcomes you in to explore their growing inventory of name brand furniture, appliances, and bedding. Need something not currently in stock? No problem. Order from Marsh's online catalog and have it delivered right to your door. Visit Marsh's to see their entire showroom. Ask questions, see what items are on sale, or just stop in and say hi. Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding, behind Giant Eagle in Titusville.
Looking for expert orthopedic care? Dr. Charlie Gates, a trusted name at Titusville Area Hospital, can help you regain mobility and a better quality of life. With years of experience and a passion for personalized care, Dr. Gates specializes in treating a wide range of orthopedic conditions. Whether it's joint pain, sports injuries, or orthopedic surgery, trust Dr. Charlie Gates at Titusville Area Hospital for your orthopedic care. Call 814-827-9770 today to schedule your appointment.
Welcome to Inspire Med Spa, the place you know and love for massages, Botox, laser resurfacing, and semi-permanent makeup. Now we're offering even more, including laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and hair rejuvenation. Our team is here to provide expert care in a peaceful, luxurious environment designed with your relaxation in mind. And with our newly added services, now you can get all your beauty services in one place. Visit Inspire Med Spa today, because you deserve to look and feel your best.
Interstate Pipe and Supply takes pride in providing superior customer service. That's why our dedicated employees are well trained and have the experience to offer friendly, quick, and reliable service and support. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Interstate offers fast delivery from our 4 locations in Western Pennsylvania. We also serve Eastern Ohio, Northern Western Virginia, and Western New York. Service means business at Western Pennsylvania's premier pipe and supply company, Interstate Pipe and Supply.
Whether you want to go and lead in your craft in the trades, whether you want to go and be that nurse or medical worker and have a real impact on lives, or whether you want to go and help that business improve its bottom line, this is the place. And now is your time to go with confidence, to go with skill, to go succeed. The Education and Training Center at Pitt Titusville.
I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us, but try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same. But you have excuses because you're old, so it's okay.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month at Community Chevrolet, your Silverado headquarters. So we're getting out the Price Slicer.
Please handle with caution.
This truck month, save more than $9,000 off the new Chevy Silverado 1500 Custom Crew, more than $4,000 off the Silverado 1500 Crew Cab Custom, and more than $2,500 off the 2500.
With 3.9% financing for 5 human years.
The Price Slicer's out all truck month, only at Community Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Heather Roberts, and I'm running to be your next magisterial district judge. I was born and raised right here in Titusville and went on to earn a degree from Penn State University in crime, law, and justice. I began my career in victim services, working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, helping them to navigate the justice system with strength, compassion, and dignity. Today, I work as a paralegal in family and personal injury law. I'm a proud mom of 3, and my husband Jack and I are proud to call Titusville home. I humbly ask for your vote and your support on May 20th at the primary election. Thank you.
Presidents, royalty and a multitude of mourners bade farewell to Pope Francis at his funeral on Saturday. Applause rang out as the coffin, inlaid with a large cross, was brought out of St. Peter's Basilica and into the sun-drenched square by 14 white-gloved pallbearers. Bells tolled as leaders from more than 150 countries took their places. Dignitaries included US President Donald Trump, who clashed with Francis a number of times over their starkly contrasting positions on immigration. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was also in attendance. Applause rang out in the square on his arrival.
La guerra!
Italian Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, who presided over the funeral mass, said the pontiff's legacy of caring for migrants, the downtrodden and the environment must not die with him. Choirs sang Latin hymns and prayers were recited in several languages, reflecting the global reach of the 1.4 billion member Roman Catholic Church. Aerial views of the Vatican showed a patchwork of colours: black from the dark attire of the world's leaders, red from the vestments of some 250 cardinals, purple worn by some of the 400 bishops, and the white worn by 4,000 attending priests. The faithful hurried to the Vatican from the early hours, many camping to try and secure spots at the front of the crowd for the ceremony.
We want to say the bye-bye because he's the living saint, very humble and simple, and he liked the united all the peace of country.
The Vatican estimated some 200,000 people had gathered at the start of the service. The Argentine Pope died on Monday, aged 88, following a stroke. Francis's death ushers in a meticulously planned period of transition, marked by ancient ritual, pomp and mourning. Over the past 3 days, around 250,000 people filed past his body, which was laid out in an open coffin before the altar of the vast 16th century St. Peter's Basilica. He will be the first pope to be buried outside the Vatican in more than a century, preferring Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major rather than St. Peter's as his final resting place.
Wall Street capped a 4-day rally on Friday with the Dow edging up marginally, the S&P 500 adding 0.75%, and the Nasdaq climbing 1.25%. China exempted some U.S. imports from its 125% tariffs, but denied U.S. President Donald Trump's assertion that trade negotiations between the world's 2 largest economies were taking place. Clark Garanin, chief market strategist and chief operating officer at CalBay Investments, said he's not buying stocks until there is more clarity on Trump's tariff policy.
From our perspective, we can't trade on tone. We're investors, not traders, so we really need to be looking for some solid, hard data to actually support a rally moving forward. Thankfully, we did get some hard data this week on production, manufacturing, and new home sales, which beat expectations. And thankfully, we're actually seeing the disparity between the hard data and the soft data start to move in the same direction as we saw a consumer sentiment number this morning that improved. So we are looking to see some more hard data coming out to support a rally.
With first quarter earnings season in full swing, nearly 3/4 of S&P 500 companies have beaten expectations, according to LSEG. But investors are largely looking past results and parsing forward guidance, especially lowered or pulled projections due to economic uncertainties and dampening consumer spending. Among Friday's movers, Intel slipped more than 6.5% after providing weak revenue and profit forecasts. Alphabet shares advanced nearly 2% after the Google parent posted a 28% jump in Google Cloud revenue and assured investors that its AI investments are paying off. And shares of Charter Communications jumped nearly 11.5% after the broadband and cable company beat revenue estimates and added more mobile subscribers than expected.
From Trump's first 100 days to quarterly results from much of the Magnificent Seven, these are the stories to watch in business and finance in the coming week. U.S. President Donald Trump marks 100 days in office on April 30th. From his on-off tariffs to how he's handled the war in Ukraine and relations with allies, many of Trump's challenges are of his own making. With old alliances on shaky ground, market sentiment fragile, and uncertainty rife, investors are keen for a bit more visibility into Trump's next 100 days. Quarterly results from Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta platforms are due. After 2 years of massive gains, these stocks and the rest of the Magnificent Seven are off to a rough start in 2025. Inflation figures on May 1st and April employment data on May 2nd could offer some insight into how the economy is doing. Tensions between the U.S. and China seem to be thawing somewhat after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated the U.S. was willing to de-escalate. It also doesn't seem as if Bessent will be aggressively pressuring Tokyo for a stronger yen. That would be welcome news to the Bank of Japan, which meets on May 1st. Only a week earlier, Trump accused Japan of weakening the yen to help exporters. Canadians head to the polls on Monday. Prime Minister Mark Carney believes Trump's tariffs and talks of annexation poses a huge threat. So the answer is to reduce reliance on the U.S. and restructure the economy. Voters appear to agree, according to recent polls, and markets anticipate this outcome. But the road ahead is bumpy. The IMF has slashed Canadian growth forecasts, and Liberal plans to ramp up spending suggest a higher than anticipated budget deficit.
All right, go ahead. Thanks for still being here, guys. I know it's been a long few days, but can't say enough about how the draft went for us. Really feel like we're a better football team today than we were before the draft started on Thursday. Like I said, we filled several needs, and I think the term was used a couple days ago about Steelers DNA, and I think when you guys get to know these guys, you'll realize that these guys have Steelers DNA. But again, I think I'm excited, can't say enough, and I just want to send a quick shout out to everybody that was involved, from our scouts to our coaches and the support staff here, because there's a lot goes into this, and things went really well for us this weekend, and that's a credit to them and everything they do for us.
Mike, it looks like a big emphasis on fixing the defensive front and getting some big-bodied guys, including Sawyer on the edge.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, but it goes beyond the defensive front. We wanted to retool physicality in all areas, and included in that discussion is the use of the second-round pick to acquire DK Metcalf. Although he's a receiver, I think he fits the bill in terms of physicality and size, and so that definitely was an agenda of ours this weekend.
Mike, when did you really start to like Will Howard, and what did he show you down the stretch in the playoffs?
I think, like a lot of people, how he responded to that adversity at the end of their regular season, and the leadership and playmaking that he displayed throughout the playoffs was really attractive, and it's really what NFL football is about. There's going to be some adversity. How you respond to it defines you and your football team, particularly from the quarterback position.
Mike, how about the way Jack Sawyer responded to that as well, being kind of the heartbeat of that team, I guess, and the leader of that team?
Love Jack Sawyer. It's easy to love, not only in terms of his resume, but his relationship with the game, his approach to football business, how he is viewed and received by his teammates. As Omar mentioned, a lot of these guys represent Steeler DNA, and I think that's really indicative of Jack Sawyer.
When you have a player like atypical at all?
I'm sorry?
Was drafting Carson really atypical at all, or just
great story, obviously, for he and his family, but as I told him when we had him on the phone, we're on the phone with him because of the merits of his resume and the things that he did at UW. over 100 tackles this year as a starting inside linebacker, displaying great instincts. And in 22 and 23, he had double-digit special teams tackles for his football team. And so it is a worthy resume. It's just an awesome side note, that his father is a Steeler and got drafted by this organization, I think, 30 years ago.
Well, when you have a player that is like Sawyer, where outside linebacker was not a desperate need for you, but you felt like he was a really good player for the slot, how do you balance those things, and where do you decide it's okay to pull the trigger on a guy who you think is talented, even if it's not a huge need?
Yeah, I think you said it, based on how we had him graded, and we spent a lot of time with him. He just, he fits here, and it made sense. But we had a really good grade on him, and it was hard to pass up at that point.
Some significant free agent assets towards the secondary. Went back to the secondary late with Kent from Central Michigan. How does he fit into your mix, and how do you feel about the depth at outside corner?
He has a Swiss Army knife skill set. He's capable of playing inside and out. He also added to his resume this year by proving to be a very capable punt returner. And I think that's things that are attractive to you later in the draft, a guy that has versatility in his game, and so we're excited about putting him in the mix.
Mike, you went really heavy on Big Ten products. What is it about the brand of football that they play, the style that fits with this organization?
I don't know if that was an agenda. I just think that there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten now, just like there's a lot of teams in the SEC. I mean, how many teams are there in the Big Ten? So that's probably the safe assumption there.
Mike, how does Caleb Johnson fit with what you want to do in your offense?
Just like I was talking about a physicality and big man agenda, this is a high volume, capable runner who was the center of his offense. A lot of NFL or Sunday-like runs, if you will, meaning he did it from the home position or the pistol position into a lot of loaded boxes. There wasn't a lot of guesswork or Saturday-like holes on his tape, and that made the evaluation a fun one and the projection an easy one.
Like sticking with just running back, you have a couple 5'8", 5'9" guys in Jalen Warren and Kenny Gainwell. Was his size, 6'1", 225 pounds, something that you wanted to round out that room in a certain way?
Less concerned about the measurables and really more concerned about, the play style of the resume, and certainly he's a guy that's capable of high volume carries.
When you reference Steeler DNA, what are you talking about?
I remember when I got this job, I talked about what it means to be a Steeler, and I could be up here for 3 days talking about it. I think when you're in this for as long as we are, you just sort of know, and that's why the process of getting out there and getting to know the guys is so important to us. We spend a lot of time on the road at we spend a lot of time meeting with guys at the combine, and it goes more than it's more than just about who they are as a player. It's who they are as a person too, and we get them on the road and bringing them here and the combine. It's just, you just sort of know when you're in this, right, Coach? You just sort of know. You get a feel for those guys, and there's times we leave these dinners or these meetings, we're like, not sure, but there's some times when you're like, that guy, he's one of us. You just sort of know. I know I'm not really answering your question there, but.
With Will Howard, what kind of value do you feel like you got being able to select him in the 6th when leading up to there's some mocks that had him going as high as the 3rd, 2nd round? You know what? He's a national champion, and that says a lot about him. And just feel really good about not only where we got him, but just that we got the player here.
Do you guys expect the quarterback board to kind of shake out the way that it did going into this draft?
You never really know. I think we talked the other day, but we're guessing like everyone else. You just don't know, and just sort of fell that way.
As you guys were sitting there waiting on day 2, 50-something picks go by, I'm sure obviously Caleb Johnson had to be high on your list. At any moment, did you feel pressure to want to make a move to go get him, or were you just fine, just waiting?
I think let's just go back. It feels like it was a week ago, but it was we fielded some calls just like we do every round, but it just felt like it was coming to us the right way, and it hadn't been that run on the running backs yet, and it was a deep position, and we were excited that we were able to get him.
On that front,
see why you Black fitting into the defense?
I've been saying throughout the process, he's a big chassis, okay? There's F-150s, he's like an F-350. He's a big man, and really stout against the run, and, you can always use a skill set like that, certainly.
Draft preparation really ramped up in March, concurrent with when you got ready for free agency. I might be asking you what's the chicken and what's the egg here, but what made you decide to go as heavy and invest in DK, invest in Slay, invest in Eccles at those positions, and knowing what by that point you were looking at in the draft? Did one hand wash the other there?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tim. When you start the process, you hope that it's going to work out perfectly for you, the way you want it. It just doesn't happen. There's a lot of variables that cause you to have to adjust, and you have to be flexible, and you have to be light on your feet, and that's sort of how that process goes. You love to get X, Y, and Z, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and the way it worked out this year, it really worked good for us. DK, when we had the opportunity to trade for DK, we were all in on that, and we felt it was important. Just excited to have him here. It just sort of happens that way. It's sort of like
two more that sort of dovetail the way that you hoped as well.
Yeah, when free agency hit, we had enough time to analyze the draft pool, and we recognized that maybe those are probably good locations to invest in terms of veteran NFL guys, and so that's why we did it.
Mike, Caleb's top speed isn't great, but he was obviously very explosive in college. What traits allow him to be so explosive despite not having this great top speed? Of course, that's not it.
We didn't question his speed whatsoever watching the video. And oftentimes that's the case. You can watch video and be really excited about someone's speed, or you can go to the combine and get excited by their combine 40 time. His speed was not in question on video. He broke a lot of long runs in the Big Ten, as we talked about earlier. And so he's just a very talented young guy, but also at the same time, he's a third-year junior, and it's just exciting to be a part of his continued growth process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, a look at your weather forecast for Northwest Pennsylvania on this Monday. Sunshine expected, decent day today temperature-wise, low 70s for a high. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with lows in the upper 50s. Now, Tuesday is going to be interesting. Scattered strong storms, they're saying during the afternoon. Damaging winds, large hail, possibility of a tornado with some storms, and temperatures tomorrow in the upper 70s. So just be on the lookout for that weather on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, partly cloudy, mid-60s. Thursday, the 1st of May, afternoon thunderstorms, mid-70s. Friday, rain with temperatures in the upper 60s. And then if you take a sneak peek into the weekend, much cooler on Saturday, which has been the case. We get great temperatures during the week, and then boom, the weekend hits and we drop dramatically. Low 50s on Saturday. Area temperatures this morning: Meadville waking up to 42 degrees, Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 40, Titusville 36, Franklin this morning 38, Oil City 37 degrees here at 7:56. This is the morning drill. You're watching it right here on a Monday morning. Our third hour coming up. Neil Fratus, Gavin Griffin, and Cheri Porter will be the guests we'll be interviewing. So if you haven't had a chance to see what they've been up to, third hour will be coming up on our website, streammedia.tv, also on our YouTube channel. Great local programming will continue on the Armstrong Neighborhood channel. We were talking about the DMV as the 3 hour fun we had Saturday, but
3 hour adventure.
I walked in the house yesterday, and I just want to say, these are outstanding. You're going to have to describe these, because these are really good. These cookies. They're like orange dreamsicle cookies you made.
Yeah. Why am I describing them? They're orange dreamsicle cookies.
Well, they're just really good.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you like them.
Yeah.
So, did you eat your yogurt, too?
I did eat the yogurt this morning. Which was also
dreamsicle yogurt. Yeah.
Was
Balance
it
it
the
out.
ice cream place we passed over the weekend?
Yeah.
Their orange.
They had orange, and you didn't stop.
No, I didn't.
I was impressed. You're usually like, oh,
yeah.
I'm going that way.
We've gotten some feedback off the conversation on our 3-hour wait at the DMV. So what?
I like Meadville to renew was only half an hour, but we're talking like we don't have it. We've never had it.
Right.
So I don't know what the difference, like, I don't know what it entails to renew. You realize.
Here's the stupid. I thought it was just another card they gave you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a whole new license they give you.
Mhm.
So I just had my license. It expired last March.
Mhm.
So I went in, well, I guess I would have needed all that stuff, but maybe I should have planned it out. So last year I would have had it. But I kept thinking, like, they keep it, drawing this thing out. Maybe they'll do it again. But no. No.
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So not 4, 5.
5.
And it's really the same thing. If you've had a new license in the last couple years, it basically is the same thing. It's just they put a little
star
on your license.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised because our middle son, who just got his license a year ago, all they did was just put it on his current license. Mine was new enough. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit disappointed.
Yes, he wanted the new license.
He did.
And I was okay. I just thought they were. So I go into it thinking I'm just going to get another card that I use with my license. So, I really didn't care about the picture they took or the signature.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, after he was all done, I'm like, oh, am I getting a new card, a new license? He goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done a better job with my signature and smile.
Yeah, you didn't smile. I'm like, he's like, is that a good picture? And I'm over your shoulder going, no, please no. And you're like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Enjoy the weather today. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh.
Third hour continues online. Great programming continues on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Multiple people were killed and a number of others injured in Vancouver after a vehicle was driven into a crowd at a Filipino street festival on Saturday evening. Police said they had arrested a 30-year-old local man at the scene and that he was known to them. Here's the city's interim police chief, Steve Rye.
That male was taken into custody at the scene by the crowd. It was a Filipino community event. The crowd immediately called police.